to talk about death, because death is something that our population is very distanced from. It used to be that you would encounter this on a daily basis, where you would kill animals for consumption, either hunting or with cattle. Or your grandparents, they would be living in your house, and when they were dying, they would be taken care of by the family. Infants would be, unfortunately, grow ill and die. Now, death is done by slaughterhouses that you're not even allowed to videotape. The majority of people don't hunt. Most people die in a hospital or in a nursing home. So there is a huge distance from death. And everybody knows people that have died, and everybody will die, obviously. But it's humorous almost in television or movies where you see mass amounts of people dying without any type of ramification or any real punctuality. Like, there's no emphasis on the mass death that you're watching. It's romanticized a lot in culture, but it's avoided in general by the masses. And this is unfortunate because it gives the illusion that you have an unlimited amount of time when you don't have that sort of familiarity. The fear of death can be a great motivator, at least to a certain extent. It can be crippling with anxiety and fear and all that fun. The fear of death is not necessarily a motivating factor, but the awareness of death and the fact that you have a limited amount of time and you do not know how much time that you have, that right there can give you at least a kick in the right direction when it comes to figuring out your goals and how you wish to progress. Funerals used to take place in people's homes. That's where the tradition of bringing flowers to a funeral came from. You give flowers to the family because they have a rotting corpse in their house during the viewing and up until the time of burial. So we keep certain traditions, and most people don't understand why it's a tradition. But it used to be a very visceral connection. As well as warfare was done a lot more close combat. It was your skill against another individual. And it used to take a lifetime to master a sword or a longbow or any of these weapons of warfare. Now it's done through computers and missiles at very far distances, and guns themselves take away a little bit of it. It's still more personal than the drone strikes and all the video games. That's basically what war has become, at least in this nation. Now there is violence among among the different civilians, crime, murder, passion, just regular violence, theft, and all of these things. That's still very much a part of our life, but you don't have to drive down the highway and worry about bandits coming to steal and rape and pillage and all that other fun. Nobody's worried about Vikings pulling up on the shores and just taking everything that they see fit. And this is a beautiful thing. But it also, like I said, gives people a false sense of, not immortality, because everybody's aware of their own mortality, at least to a certain extent, but it doesn't give you that visceral connection. It's a relatively dark thing. I understand that, but it's something that everybody is going to have to encounter. My father died when I was 19. That was a very real and significant life-changing event in my life, the ending of his life. My grandfather died when I was about 9 or 10, And that literally moved us out of Philadelphia into the sticks of Pennsylvania. So death very much does affect the living. A lot of my friends from high school have ended up dead. People that I considered brothers, a very close circle. They're no longer with us. Now, suicide and drug overdoses and drunken driving accidents, all of these things are very, very real, and they're on the rise. The self-destructive nature of our species is quite evident. But on the individual level, Western civilization is seeing it. The rise of depression and anxieties, obviously suicide and self-destructive behavior, substance abuse, and all this fun. Who knows what happens after we die? But I know that when someone who's close to me dies, it almost solidifies the messages that they've taught me throughout life. And it makes you examine the individual a lot more thoroughly. At least that's what I try to do, and understand that their life, however it's over, the impact is now solidified. And you can take the best qualities of these individuals, examine them, and build up strength because of that. Why they were loved, why they were hated, what they had accomplished. You can examine how they've done it. We've been doing that with history, or supposed to be doing that with history's lessons. But on a more personal level, those who are close to you imprint certain ideals, certain impressions, and so their death almost makes you appreciate the time that you had with them more than those that are currently living. Because that time is lost, you feel that loss. And that makes the memories stand out all the more. And that is the way that they can live on. And I understand that's a cliche. They're always going to be with us, of course, but we're not always going to be here. But the people that we affected will live on and have children, and it goes right down the line. Just ranting. It's something that everybody needs to meditate on. When you die, you meet the person you could have been. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. But that's the way I like to look at it, because it tries to motivate me now. You need to strive to live. And live an amazing life, wonderful life. A life that is your own. And try to leave as much imprints and as much impressions on the other individuals, so that way when you're gone, it stands out to them. Life is an amazing thing. We are a piece of eternal consciousness experiencing itself in an ever-expanding dream. Maybe I'll do a video about consciousness, and at least my idea, my concept of it. Because it is a beautiful thing. Death is what gives life meaning. If we lived forever, there would be no real urgency to our actions. There would be little motivation on leaving an imprint, on leaving a legacy. We as a species are funny. We live really short lives. Some individuals accomplish tremendous things with that time, and other people just twiddle away the time. History is something that a lot of people, or that few people did, while a lot of people farmed and just gathered food and just lived. History was done by the few. at least the ones that stand out, the ones that history remembers. Everybody remembers Napoleon Bonaparte. Nobody remembers the millions of soldiers that fought under him. They gave their lives. They lived. They died. They dreamed. They hoped. History remembers Napoleon. Now, whether or not you want to be remembered by history is another altogether different story. But at least for a short period of time, you need to leave at least a few impressions on some people that might live after you, be it your children, your family, people that you've come in contact with, or maybe you create something that's going to live long beyond you. You invent something, you create a company, you build a house. It's going to get lived in for 4 generations. Who knows? Only you can decide. Do not be afraid of death. Meditate on it. Let it give you a sense of urgency, drive you forward, force you to accomplish your goals in this short life that we live. And embrace it for all that it's worth. We have more in common with each other than those that want us to fight. Remember that always.